Nick Kush, Special Operations EOD, 7 skydives, 7 continents, 7 days, 2 world records, and legacy expeditions. Welcome to another amazing guest, Nick Kush. In this captivating episode of the Straight Talk Mind and Muscle podcast, I'd like you to meet my guest and friend who shares his incredible experience with legacy expeditions. We began with Nick's involvement in starting and finishing in world record fashion the amazing project called Legacy Expeditions, which involved doing 7 skydives on 7 continents in 7 days. We talked about the planning process, the charity they supported, which is Folds of Honor, and the challenges they faced during the expedition. We discussed the power of the human mind, the importance of teamwork, and the significance of finding a mission and purpose in life. The episode concludes with reflections on the expedition and the lessons learned. This project involved a mind-boggling challenge of completing 7 skydives and 7 continents in just 7 days. Nick delves into the intricate planning process, the charity they supported, and the obstacles they overcame during this extraordinary expedition. One of the most remarkable aspects of legacy expeditions was the charity they chose to support, which I mentioned earlier, Folds of Honor. This organization provides educational scholarships to the spouses and children of fallen and disabled service members, that's military and first responders. Nick and his team were deeply involved and moved by the mission of Folds of Honor and were determined to make a significant impact through their skydiving endeavor. The planning process for legacy expeditions was no small feat. Nick explains that they had to meticulously coordinate logistics, travel arrangements, and skydiving permits across 7 continents. This required extensive research, communication with local authorities, and careful consideration of weather conditions. The team's dedication and attention to detail were crucial in ensuring the success of their mission. However, the challenges they faced during the expedition were not limited to logistical hurdles. Nick recounts the physical and mental strain they endured through the 7-day journey, which started in Antarctica, by the way. Skydiving is an inherently risky activity. Performing multiple jumps in such a short period of time pushed their limits to the extreme. The team had to maintain peak physical fitness and mental resilience to overcome fatigue and to stay focused on their goal. Furthermore, Nick highlights the power of the human mind and the importance of teamwork in achieving extraordinary feats. He emphasizes that having a strong mindset and a clear mission were essential in overcoming the obstacles they encountered. The team's unwavering determination and support for one another played a crucial role in their success. We touch upon the significance of finding a mission and purpose in life, and Nick shares how his involvement in legacy expeditions allowed him to combine his passion for adventure with a meaningful cause. He believes that having a purpose-driven life not only brings personal fulfillment, but also inspires others to pursue their own dreams and make a positive impact in the world. Reflecting on the expedition, Nick expresses gratitude for the incredible experiences and lessons learned. He acknowledges the immense support they received from their sponsors, partners, and the global skydiving community. Nick also spoke about the double world record they achieved during legacy expeditions, which adds another layer of accomplishment to their truly remarkable journey. In conclusion, this episode of the Straight Talk Mind and Muscle podcast provides a captivating insight into the awe-inspiring legacy expeditions. Nick Kush's account of the planning process, the charity, and the challenge they faced showcases the power of determination, teamwork, and finding a mission in life. Their extraordinary journey serves as a testament to the special operations community and the human spirit's ability to overcome obstacles and make a lasting impact. You can find Nick check out the show links if you're online, but you can find him at legacyexpeditions.net and on Instagram, Nick Kush 237. And please have a look at least and maybe donate to Folds of Honor. That's in a link at legacyexpeditions.net and also in the show notes below. Thanks for watching. I'm Damien Porter, former New Zealand Special Forces operator, subject matter expert from hownotodie.com.au. And you're listening to my Straight Talk Mind and Muscle podcast, sponsored by these guys, mystate.com, the ultimate daily formula for optimum hormone health, stress management, energy, and performance. 100% natural and clinically proven ingredients, it provides everything you need to raise your game in a convenient, gut-friendly capsule. Links for my former shows are in the show notes below. Thanks for watching. And we're live. Welcome to the Straight Talk Mind and Muscle podcast, and welcome to my guest, Nick Kush. It's great to have you on.
Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it. It's good to see you again, too.
Yeah, you too. It's so rare. I was just thinking 10 minutes before the show, so rare I get a chance to meet many of my guests in person before the show, so it's really cool.
Yeah, that was really cool.
So look, before the show, I always do a video intro and audio for the audio platform, so people already know about you. But
Okay.
by way of intro here, you know, Legacy Expeditions General Manager, legacyexpeditions.net. But what an amazing project that you have embarked on. I'd really like to get it from the horse's mouth, as it were. I met you in person here in Perth at the end of an amazing journey, maybe actually only halfway through for yours, given the media scrum you guys went through. What have you been doing this year that's made you and your buddies literally world famous and for such a great cause?
Well, so what? Now, I'm sorry. Was your question what have we done since after the expedition, or getting ready for it?
Yeah, the expedition. What was the expedition, and what was the cause?
Got it. So what we've got, a couple of us. We spent time in Iraq together. This was in 2006, 2008, and try to stay in touch with the guys as much as possible. When we retire or separate, we kind of go our separate ways and try to, take and find our role in the rest of our lives, because we had our identity. We were doing it for, whether that be 10, 15, 20 years, more than that. We've got our purpose right there. So everybody's kind of moved on a little bit. We still stay in touch. And then out of the blue, I get a phone call from Mike Sorelli, and this would have been in June, July of 2021. And at the time, I was working as a research and development project lead for a parachute manufacturer. So that's kind of a glorified way to say that I was a test dummy. I test parachutes. That's what I do for a living.
Test shoot dummy.
Yeah. So he called me up, and he knew that I was working in the skydiving industry after I retired. So I retired in 2016. And he said, I got this idea. And the idea was to jump to do 7 skydives on 7 continents in 7 days. And my response was along the lines of like, holy shit, do you have any idea how difficult that's going to be? And he said, yeah, that's why we want to do it. And I'm like, all right, well, I know some pretty good people. And so we started planning. And, to be honest, I think both of us were, let's just see how this goes. And I'd never taken on a project like this and done really any exotic locations when it comes to doing, like an expedition. I've got some really good friends that have done skydiving expeditions to Antarctica, South America, Nepal, Norway, and parts of France. And so that's where I was going to tap into my resources and get the expertise from those guys. And that's what we do in the military. It's like you go with guys that are pros and subject matter experts and start planning. And so we kicked off I think like every 2 weeks, a couple calls and just sort of discussing things, because there was a lot to discuss, not only the logistics and execution of this, putting the team together,
exactly,
and then putting sponsors together. And then it's going to be expensive. So then getting funding, it's like, is this going to be appealing to some of the sponsors that we're thinking, some of the equipment sponsors and gear sponsors and stuff like that. So it was, didn't want to take up too much bandwidth in the beginning, because you don't know, we're planning for January 2023. So this is a year and a half out. And so we started planning, we started putting a little bit of a team together, starting to identify some roles and responsibilities, and things like that started to take shape when people started to kind of see that there was possible, because it's when you tell somebody that, you're like, there's no way. And you want to do it on commercial planes. You're not going to charter private, like you have to do it private. So we juggled around with that. And then we had a few changes in team members, and then fast forward about a year, we were about 6 months out, and we're kind of going, where are we at here? So summertime 2022, we were started getting things lined up on locations, now we needed to find somebody that we were going to support. And I had done some work with Folds of Honor in the past, and they're just a great organization. And we had a
Yeah.
list of about 7 or 8 501c3s that we were looking at, and I
And
immediately
those are
wanted to go.
charities, are they, Nick?
Yeah, so 501c3s in the U.S. they're charities or nonprofits.
Yep.
So I wanted to go with Folds of Honor and approach them to see what they thought. Folds of Honor is a 501c3 nonprofit charity organization that gives education scholarships to the dependents of deceased or disabled veterans and or first responders.
Wow.
So you can families can apply for education scholarships, and their concept and their idea is to try to make the world a little bit of a better place through education. So these kids are either without their dads or without their moms, and so to get them the best schooling they can to try to keep them going forward and carry on the legacy of their parents is the idea. So it's a great organization. And Folds of Honor had never done anything like this before. They're usually doing golf events or sponsoring NASCAR, working with
wow.
So
they're only little.
Yes.
They're only little events.
Well, the golf events are really big because they reel in a lot of they do a lot of celebrity events. They have a lot of celebrities every year. Veterans Day, they do a big celebrity event in just outside Orlando. So it has a lot of attention, and so they like the idea of us doing something, especially a bunch of veterans, a couple of us that have worked with Folds of Honor, to be ambassadors and spokesmen, and then do something really loud and extreme and over the top, get a lot of attention, make a lot of noise, and just focus on Folds of Honor. So they love the idea. So
oh wow.
So then we were off and running.
Man, I didn't know it was a year and a half out. I mean, literally, I met you, I think, online with our mutual friend, Dr. Kirk Parsley. I think you just came out of Egypt or somewhere when you...
We were sitting in the lobby in Cairo when we did that video. Yeah. Yeah.
That was amazing. You exotic location. And I've seen anti-stump, and we'll talk through the crew and things, talking about probably the most epic jump he's ever done is jumping onto the pyramids. I mean,
over the pyramids. He wanted to land on the pyramid, but he knew that we'd get arrested if he did that. So.
Yeah. Reminds me of something of Minions. What an amazing charity though, Folds of Honor, and you're a year and a half out. So your aim was to do 7 skydives, 7 continents, 7 days. Now you personally, I know you had a side hustle at the same time with a tandem. What was the story there?
So the original story was, when we first started planning in 2021, I told Mike, I said, well, if you want to do something this extreme, you called the right guy because I'm going to introduce you to the right guy. And that right guy was Tom Noonan. So Tom Noonan was the United Parachute Technologies, and that United Parachute Technologies is a manufacturer of parachutes, parachute harness container systems, and they make the tandem system, one of the exclusive tandem system that's used in the world today. There's a few other competitors, but they're Bill Booth, the founder of United Parachute Technologies, designed it, built it, and so Tom Noonan was the director for all tandem operations for that company, and so we approached him, and he had a lot of experience in Nepal and in Antarctica, and he's just connected and was just the nicest guy in the world and everybody's friend. And so he said, well, if we're going to do this and I'm going to help you, I want to do a tandem, and I want to bring my extreme tandem teammate. His name is Jim Wigington. We'll get more into Jim in a few minutes. So, so Tom started giving us some introductions to some people, and we started doing some calls. And then sadly, he passed away on October 16th, 2021. So about 3 months into planning, he passed away.
Wow.
So we kind of did a real hard reset when you had his funeral up just outside Boston, and Jim was there, and Jim wasn't interested in continuing to do the expedition. And so we thought, okay, well, we'll go ahead and keep moving forward. And we'll do a lot of this in remembrance of Tom, because he was such a crucial part of the initial planning of it. About a week or so later, Jim called me and said, I want to go. And I want you, meaning me, to be his tandem master. So then that's how I became the tandem master for the expedition. And so then we continued on through that. So
wow, that's phenomenal. And just another example of how hurdles, obstacles are in the way. Now, we haven't really touched on it. It's more an assumption we made of a group of special operations guys, because you said you guys were in Iraq, and we talked about purpose and identity, but really we're talking about special forces, special operations. Everybody's got different names, but special ops
Yeah.
guys. And that's what we're taught, isn't it? We just got to get the mission done no matter what. We just adapt, overcome all those basics there.
Yeah, and we have the freedom to maneuver a little bit. We have the education, a little bit of like we get, through selections, we get trained to sort of ask questions and apply some of our common sense that we've acquired over time. So it's not just, here's the book, guys, and there it is. So, so we get to improvise, adapt, and overcome a little bit.
Exactly. Now, Jim was a previous world record holder of some notoriety as well.
Yeah, so Jim's a crack up. So he's now 73 years old. He's this, I believe he's the CEO of True North Equity and a bunch of other stuff. He is business savvy. He's actually really kind of inspirational for guys like us that we just, know go that way. So he's really savvy when it comes to doing business
Awesome.
in multiple industries. So Jim has got a bunch of world records. I mean, I think he's working on one right now where he's climbing the highest buildings in all 50 states of the stairs by stairs. I think he has 17 or 18 right now. So he's going for it. It's great. So he and Tom held the world record for seven tandem skydives, 7 continents, and it was just under 7 months. It was like 6 months and 2 or 3 weeks was their time for that. So they started in, I think it was mid 2017, and then finished in early 2018. And so Jim was super excited about trying to break his own record. So
isn't it an interesting example of humans? They did 7 continents, 7 months, and then just because someone has some crazy idea, it's gone from 7 months to 7 days.
Yeah. Yeah.
The power of the human mind to visualize and then just absolutely explode the current paradigm. It's such an amazing thing we do as humans.
No, it really is, and it's also, to even go a step further, it's the amazing ability that I think we underestimate the ability to execute as well. I think that's been for so many years and so much time in the military. I've seen that time and time again, and then it was a great experience overall to see everybody be able to execute, not only carry their own weight but carry each other's weights, and it was a great experience through and through. So.
Well, that's a perfect segue. You had me thinking back to the first time when I was doing my training for the counter-terrorist team. We got to see the team in action, and it was unfathomable what the guys could do as a team, as a squadron of guys. I just couldn't believe how they could get stuff done. But you put together a team. So you talked about a guy, Mike Sorelli, and maybe we'll go into his background as well, but how important was it to get these other guys around you to get the end result compared to just you and one guy, Mike Sorelli?
So, excuse me. So when it came to the team, I told Mike, I think we had set up 2 training camps, one in October of 2022, and then one in December of 2022. So basically like 3 months out, and then 2 months, or about a month out. And that was the idea behind that, was get the guys together, get some bonding, get to know each other, and then do some jumping. Because when I looked at it, and I wasn't the only one that looked at it this way, but you came to me as arguably the subject matter expert in skydiving operations on the team. We're getting ready to do some very intricate jumps. Now the jumps aren't really all that difficult, as far as like we're doing them during the day. We're doing them predominantly at skydiving centers, so it's not that hard. But if we were going to do a very intricate, complicated skydiving expedition, probably wouldn't have picked some of the guys, because they're not active, really passionate, in the skydiving industry and as instructors, as contractors, or whatever it is. So what the team brought was this unity, and then their reach, their network, their resources. And so the great thing about this event was that the skydives were great, but they weren't really incredibly difficult, and they weren't bland. They were obviously, like when we go to Antarctica and Egypt, and they were absolutely fantastic. But we set everything up in motion to be successful. So the criteria of success was to execute 7 skydives safely, 7 continents in 7 days. And so this team, because of their special operations background, and because of their time overseas, and because their ability to be resilient, was so key in executing this, because we all knew that we were all going to be redlined, and we were going to be smoked and tired and hungry and upset and irritated, but we still needed to perform. So that's where these guys came into play, and that's why this team the final team was brought together, because of their reach, their resources, and their absolute their experience of being uncomfortable. So it was nothing foreign to any of the guys. So it was great.
Awesome. I love that. Their reach, their resilience and unflappableness. You know, I met you guys in person at the end of the expedition for the actual jumping. It was amazing to see you guys prep. And I brought along my partner, who's a civilian, never been exposed to the Special Forces community. And she was literally stunned at how you guys worked. You're out of the van, and when it's go time, it's go time. And you and I speak that language, but it was incomprehensible to her to see that. For me, it was just like being back in the team. So it's like that's the way things are done. So it was great to see how you guys worked. Let's just finish off on Jim. You're telling me you dragged a 73-year-old all the way to Antarctica and all around the world in 7 days and put him through all that.
Yeah, well, what Jim would say is that since I was attached, he's attached to me, that he carried me on his back the whole way, is what he likes to say. So, but yeah, so that was, it was a big part of being one of like the expedition leaders as far as, logistics and coordination pieces like that. And then detaching from that, and then my responsibility as another human life is doing the tandem, right? And I would have had it any other way. Originally it was going to be Tom doing it, so it was obviously an honor for Jim to ask me to be the tandem master, and then to go through that. That was really a really good experience and a good exercise in resilience, to be able to kind of help logistically, and then go and do this, separate piece. And so, and all of us had that, had those roles as well. So, yeah.
Well, I was just looking at something this morning. I run the socials first thing and then get that out of the way, but it was mission before self. And it's what we do. We put our others before self as well, and we put ourselves last. And again, coming back to seeing you guys land in Perth, roll up to the airstrip on the back of such a long haul of days and lack of sleep and things, and then you guys just get it done. What was it like going into the final jump? You knew you're on track time wise. What was it like getting ready for that final jump here in Perth in Western Australia?
Well, we got really into go mode. We were not. I can't speak for everybody, but I'm pretty sure everybody was just. We get the gear, just like how you described what you saw. We got our gear off. We basically did a quick gear check. Guys, gear up, do little talks. I had to sit down with the Australian Parachute Federation representative to go through they have rules for basically a visiting tandem. So I'm a foreigner in Australia, so I had to go through like a verbal exam and stuff. So we were just like, check, and let's send it. What are the winds? Okay, cool. Where's the spot? All right, got it. What's going on? And so when we knew the forecast, and we had some really good friends of ours that were working out of a weathering department in Northern Virginia that were giving us forecasts while we were in Spain. We were seeing the forecast for Cairo, Abu Dhabi, and Perth, and we were seeing all this stuff. We knew that Perth, that time of year, that day, was going to be really windy. And so we've got some thresholds. We just wanted to get in the plane and then get out of the plane. We were just like, let's just finish this thing. We're tired. All we're living off of coffee, and airport food. Let's get out of this plane. So that was our mindset. Yes, I don't think it really hit any of us until we all landed and kind of gathered up at the landing area. And then it was like, holy shit, we really did pull this off. Because even halfway through, we were like, I don't know. I mean, it's all going okay, but we'll see. I think when we started cycling around Cairo, we all got a boost because of the pyramid jump and how visually, in awe we all were. And it was like, we might just be able to pull this off. We only got 2 more spots to go, so this could happen. So
you're not counting your chickens. It's a great mindset. You're focused on one step at a time. It's interesting how we're talking and unpacking this. You're pretty much outlaying a SF mindset, literally, to get through selection, to get through the mission. It's one step at a time. Don't look at the big picture. Keep it in mind a little bit, but let's look at the controlling the controllables. And again, I had the chance to know you prior to the show, Nick, and then go through some of that last day with you guys. It didn't hit me at that time what you'd gone through to get there, what you were probably feeling. What was it like afterwards, landing and then all coming together? I mean, that was what you guys set out to achieve. What did that feel like for you?
What was it? It helped to have some of the regiment boys have a bunch of beer for us, so that really kind of set us like, like, okay, finally we can have a couple drinks. But the truth of it is that we were all basically, we weren't overtly, but it was a lot of high fives, and we were kind of patting ourselves on the back as well, because we had sort of resorted to where even if we do this in 10 days or 12 days, it's still going to be remarkable. When all of our meetings and our sponsor meetings that we had, for months going into it, we always still stayed focused around the fact that we were going to be doing this expedition to bring awareness and raise money for Folds of Honor, as well as use it as a platform, because everybody's using platforms with their popularity nowadays, is to use this platform so we can tell the stories of guys that were close to us and honor our brothers. So we're telling stories about guys that have passed away 17 years ago. And so, a lot of people, now we have all the media outlets, and everything has an electronic fingerprint forever. So we figure, let's tell the stories of these guys that were close to us, that meant a lot, that did in fact die. And so we wanted to honor their family, honor them, their legacy was the idea moving forward. So,
and that was phenomenal. I think Jericho was the last guy to do that in Perth.
It was let's see, it would have been Jericho was his jump for his guy was in Chile. It was Logan.
Logan, that's right, Logan Stark.
Yeah, Logan spoke right in Perth. Yeah.
What and talk about Marine Scouts. What do you guys call
Abate?
them?
Yeah. Well, Marine Scout sniper. He was a Marine Scout sniper. Abate. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. That was his name, Abate.
That was phenomenal hearing that story, and so touching. And again, I'd have to say thank you personally to allow some other people that were outside the team, because when we're in our teams, it's literally us versus the world.
Yeah.
Thank you for allowing us to be part of it. Thank you for allowing everybody to come down and share just a small snippet of what you guys did. It was phenomenal. Could you maybe, because a lot of the listeners here may be unaware of what you've gone through, where did you start, and what, take us through those different countries that you guys jumped into?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So we knew we planned backwards. We planned to make a timeline. We feel like you got to be there at 4:00. Well, you work backwards. You have to be someplace or do something at a certain time. You work backwards, and so that's what we did. We figured we wanted to end in Australia. Now the route did change. We started kind of looking at booking flights. So we knew we were going to end in Australia, and since we were going to be coming from United Arab Emirates, whether that be Dubai or Abu Dhabi, it was going to be Perth, because that was going to be the quickest place to get to.
Yeah.
So we knew that we wanted to go in that direction. We wanted to go east. So we worked backwards, and we ultimately needed to start in Antarctica, because it was the most unpredictable weather. And the way that the package runs for going to Antarctica with the company that runs the place where we were at, and there's several locations in Antarctica, but because they've had skydivers there in the past, the company is Antarctica Logistics and Expeditions, and they're headquartered out of Salt Lake City, Utah, is their company headquarters. But they've got three or four owners, and a huge organization, and they're phenomenal. And they've got this location that's called Union Glacier in Antarctica. And so we had a point of contact. His name is PH Debert. He's a Frenchman, and he was Tom Noonan's teammate for all of these exotic expeditions that they did. So that's how this kind of took shape. Was PH was our guy. So PH, Paul Henry, he coordinated us, payment, deposit, and executing of what we were going to do. And so when you go to Antarctica, at least at this location, you have to spend 6 days there. And so, but before you go to Antarctica, you have to get to Chile. So we fly down to Santiago, and then a quick flight from Santiago to Punta Arenas. And we were there for about 4 days. We spent New Year's Eve there. And then we had to process with Antarctica Logistics Expeditions, because they have a little office there. And then so you process there, COVID test, and they get gear, and they check your equipment that you're bringing, and they go over a lot of briefings and kind of the way of living. And then you fly down to Antarctica. So 6 days in Antarctica. We got there on, I believe it was Tuesday, January 4th. And then we were able to do a skydive on the next day because we had really good weather. And that place is absolutely remarkable. It reminded us when we got there, we all kind of said, this is like a really nice, like forward operating base in Afghanistan. Like it's
Wow.
really in the middle of nowhere, but it's really nice and really great food, amazing staff. You know, it was 2-person to a tent, these really nice tents with cots in it. And the only thing they didn't have were little chocolates on the pillow, but it was, I mean, they probably could have pulled that one off, but it was really nice. And everybody was incredibly professional and really, really, it was really great to meet people from 16 different countries that work there. I mean, it
Yeah,
was just, it
wow.
was so neat. And they've got a lot of good safety protocols, and you know the way that they run the bathrooms and the showers, everything has got a really is very intentional and has a really good purpose behind that location. So we get there, do the skydive, kind of shake everything out. Okay, cool. We've all done a skydive in Antarctica. Like, wow. And so at least we thought, hey, at the very least, we're jumping on this. I think would have been Wednesday. We were due to fly out the following Monday off the glacier. So if weather comes in and we can't do a jump, at least the clock will start and we've got this first continent knocked
Yeah.
out. And so while being in Antarctica, they've got excursions and we're going on hikes to, like, you know, Elephant Mountain, Drake's Icefall. You can check out skis and, you know, go ride fat tire bikes on this 10K loop. I mean, you can be bored or you can not, you know, and a
Yeah.
lot of, it's neat not having, it was great not having cell service or Wi-Fi for a week.
Yeah,
And
for
it
sure.
definitely changes your perspective on things. It was really cool. And so got to know a bunch of people. I mean, you'd meet somebody that was like a professional cross country skier, and they were waiting for a weather window to go cross country ski from the last degree down to the South Pole.
Wow.
You know, you meet somebody else that was just kind of like a hippie, but he got sponsored to go on this team because he was really good at it. And then you'd meet a billionaire who's waiting to go get their weather window to go climb Mount Vincent, the highest peak in
Yeah.
Antarctica.
Yeah.
So just this really hodgepodge, just group of people. And then everybody was just so incredibly nice and so incredibly respectful, and just so interesting to meet these different people that you would never meet. And so I kind of picked up that it sort of takes a little bit of an extreme personality to go to the bottom of the planet. And so that's kind of like, this is sort of these people's playground.
Yeah.
And research, the research that goes on with the staff down there is just, it's phenomenal. I mean, it's really impressive. And we got to meet some people that were working with some like Jet Propulsion Labs and NASA, and just doing it was just so interesting, you know, like you know, like, where are we right now? But no one is from there, but everybody kind of feels like a local. And so
Yeah.
that's sort of how the vibe is there. It's really neat. And so we obviously did some interviews too, because we have a documentary getting released this fall. So we did some interviews with people, with us. And then I think Andy did a couple podcasts down there. It was like the first podcast ever recorded in Antarctica, you know, whatever, something like that. It's really pretty cool.
Awesome.
And then we got to do our so it's a 757 that comes in and out from Punta Arenas down to Union Glacier. And it's this huge blue ice runway. I mean, so the 757 passenger plane lands on this ice runway. It's the
Yeah.
most bizarre thing. It just doesn't look correct. But so we had all got all set up, and the staff was really supportive of trying to get us our skydive at the last possible minute on the day we were departing. So
Yeah,
we did the
great.
skydive on January 9th, and then about an hour and a half later, we were boarding the 757 to depart the glacier. And then so our clock started as late as possible. So that's, you know, a bunch of us hit start on our phones, and that was Antarctica.
That's
So
amazing that you managed to pull it off. It all went to the letter, because there's
yeah,
so much potential for things to go wrong down in that part of the world.
the weather was the biggest thing. I mean, those guys have been they've been operating down there, I think, for about 27 years. So they've seen and done it all. They had 4 planes, they had 2 Twin Otters and 2 DC-3s, and they've got that place wired. I mean, it's a fantastic operation. Yeah.
Awesome. So let's maybe go through the team that started there. You talked about Mike
Mhm.
Sorelli right near the start,
Yeah,
you and him having this crazy idea. Now, Mike was a SEALs,
correct.
and
Yeah,
then
so he was originally an enlisted Marine recon, and then went officer, went to the SEAL teams in roughly, I want to say, 04 timeframe, and then we started working together in 05, and then deployed in 06 and 08 together.
I quite like, and I'll just translate for that for the civilians.
Oh yeah, please, yeah.
He was a normal soldier and became an officer. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's nice. It's best of both worlds.
He knows it too. He knows it. He knows it.
Exactly. And Mike's coming on next week, I think, on the show.
Oh,
Um,
good, great.
so you've got Mike and you, and who else? And of course, you've got Jim. Who else was down in Antarctica with you?
So we had so myself, Mike, Jim. We had Andy Stump. It was obviously gaining quite a lot of popularity these days. We had Jericho Denman, Logan Stark, Glenn Cowan, who's our former JTF2 Canadian SOF operator, and then we had Mike Barker, who's also former U.S. Navy SEAL, and then Fred Williams, who's also a former U.S. Navy SEAL, who's the president and CEO of Complete Parachute Solutions, which is a parachute manufacturing company in Florida. And then we had two film crew. We had Kevin Burke and Dan Myrick, and Dan Myrick is his team. We hired his team to capture the documentary piece, and he was the director producer. I believe it was director producer of the Blair Witch Project that came out in the 90s. So what I liked about Dan was his creativity and his ability. His resume told me that here's a guy that can do a lot with a low budget kind of thing. Not that he was a low budget, operation, but he got the sense of creativity to be able to put something like this together. And so working with Dan and Kevin and Christian was great.
And you talked about the documentary coming out. When are we looking down that one?
So I think last week they released, said that it was going to be out this fall, which is great because I thought it was going to be more toward the end of the year. So it looks like it's going to be this fall sometime, which is great. So I think that they were kind of aiming for around Veterans Day, U.S. Veterans Day, November 11th. So yeah,
awesome. And currently, you're still taking charity donations for Folds of Honor for the expedition.
Oh, of course. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
And of course, I'll put that into the show notes that we record at the start as well. Okay, so you mentioned Andy Stump. He is gaining a lot of notoriety with the show and a bunch of other things. And you mentioned two guys that are co-owners of Black Rifle Coffee. Again, something that's
and they've got So Logan, I think, was one of the original four. I think his title, if I'm not mistaken, is the VP of branding. I think with Black Rifle Coffee Company, and I'm not sure exactly what Jericho's title is. I know he did a lot of reporting with Coffee or Die magazine, and but I honestly never asked him what his role was. We were just more so focused on that. And so how I found out that Logan was VP of branding was, I think I saw it like on a post or something like that somewhere else. So, but yeah.
So
those guys were great. Those guys are incredibly talented in capturing content. Really good dudes just to hang out with, and absolutely hilarious and worked hard. Got it done, and it was great having those guys on the team. But it was really impressive to see them push out such noteworthy content throughout the expedition. It was really impressive, and that really helped gain a lot of attention by using their skill set, and then the Black Rifle Coffee Company platform. I mean, it was fantastic. Yeah.
Absolutely, because you want to be part of it, even if you're just watching a video of Logan putting something up, or a video. Kirk and you and I, we had a chat, and that went crazy. Just to
good. You
just want to be part of it as somebody that doesn't get to do that. I'm probably never going to get the chance to go to Antarctica, so that's that connection, and that's what you guys did excel at with the expedition, connecting with people that just come and be a part of this.
I'll tell you what, I want to spend a minute on that. That was probably one of the most rewarding and unexpected parts of this expedition, was this human connection, like with people, not just on our team. Like we already kind of got through all of the measuring up parts, with us, those segments in our training camps. But to meet these people in Antarctica, and then to go to Santiago, Chile, and to see just this outpouring of like support of this, that, and they're, skydivers and not skydivers, they were just like, this is fantastic what you guys are doing. And it started to really dawn on us, like really? Like, yeah, I guess so, because we're mission focused, right? And so, but the human connection piece from Antarctica, then to Chile, and then we go to Clewiston, Florida, just outside Miami, and it's the same thing. We go to Barcelona, Spain, same thing. Even in Cairo, Abu Dhabi was a little quirky, but then when we go to Perth and finish it off with you guys, it's just like holy shit, like this really was a big deal. And we were just kind of going, yeah, we know it's a big deal. We're just trying to get it done. But then along the way, to meet all these great people and to see all this passion and just want to have a small part in supporting it was unbelievable. It kind of restored your hope in humanity, with everything that's going on in the world. So it was really cool. Yeah.
I'm really glad we're going down that tangent, Nick, because I've interviewed a few people that have done these sort of things. So first off was double world record holder Dean Stott, former SBS, and he cycled the Pan American Highway
Oh, wow. Yeah.
on a push bike, double world record holder there. And then I interviewed Sarah Davis just the other day. Her show came out. She paddled the Nile on both a raft and kayak. It hasn't got the whole thing of it, but it was a long expedition through many countries, Sudan and
Oh, yeah.
some war-torn countries, as well as Egypt. And it's interesting, you even see it with your body language there. You guys are quite surprised because what do they say with us? We join the army, travel to foreign places, meet people and kill them.
Yeah, well, yeah. Unfortunately, that is part of the deal. But yeah,
And,
in some
and
cases, yeah,
we don't get to see it. We
yeah,
just focus on the mission. Now you guys
yeah,
are in a completely different place, completely different mindset. However, you're
yeah.
still mission focused. You're thinking, I'm just going to get the jump done. But you get to actually interact with these people in a completely different way. It must have really blown you guys' mind.
Oh, yeah. It was. I mean, I could only really speak for myself, but I think some of the guys would also echo it. Is that it was really surprising, and it was just sort of taken aback that yeah, I guess we are doing something like pretty cool, and we were more grateful that everybody was appreciative. I mean, when we got to Skydive Andes outside of Santiago, Chile, we set everything up, in advance. Was like, when we get there, if you guys can do breakfast for us, and then we did breakfast, and then we went and did the skydive. Like, you guys want to jump again? We're like, no, we're good. And then they had a whole barbecue, like some of Chilean steaks, and they had Chilean wine, and we're just going, oh my gosh, this is fantastic, but like, I don't want to get drunk. We got stuff to do still, So, but it was just great how warm everybody was, in all
Yeah.
these countries. It was fantastic, So it was really neat because I would sit there and say, and I did a briefing at the Parachute Industry Association symposium a couple of weeks ago in Reno, was that while we were skydiving, this wasn't really a skydiving event. I mean, we were just this is what we were just doing. I mean, we weren't tailoring this to the skydiving industry or the skydiving audience. It was just, this is something we all can do, and we all have a passion for it. So this is what we're going to execute. So.
And that quote you gave earlier, restoring your faith in humanity, I can definitely see hitting that military guy's mindset, how it really would do that, because people in those places, when they're so giving, it's just it's so foreign to us, but it's beautiful to watch as well.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely.
So you've done Antarctica. You mentioned going through the different countries. I know that you did speak about it, or some of the guys that speak about it on the shows, and we'll go to the media circus afterwards. But you had a bit of a lockdown in America, and there was a real hiccup there. Not just it might be a bit windy on the jump. What happened there that you can speak to?
So we had finished up in Santiago. We were flying. It was about an 8.5 hour or so flight, and American Airlines was.
Your
miles.
audio's just dropped out. So American Airlines was.
You got me back?
Yep, got you back.
Yeah. So American Airlines was fantastic. They had somebody that actually was dedicated. Her name is Missy at American Airlines. Spent time at her desk to be able to help coordinate and plan and schedule all the flights. So we had all these flights scheduled, and Missy was like on a red phone, basically on standby in case we missed a flight or something happened, had to get changed. And we're talking not only 11 of us at first, but then it became 15 of us. So we're talking 15 tickets she'd have to adjust everything. So it was fantastic to work with them. So while we were in flight from Santiago to Miami, we got notified once we landed, but this happened while we were in flight. So we were landing in Miami on, man, give me my days, 9, 10, the morning of January 11th, I believe it was. That was a Wednesday. And we landed around 8:30 or so in the morning of Miami time, and we started getting notifications on our phones. So like, I got news updates that the notice to airmen systems was down. And
Yeah.
so from the was a NOTAMs, or the notice to airmen systems, those are basically, in a roundabout way, unofficially, those are notifications to all of air traffic that planes are here, planes are there, and planes are going here. And so the system had completely shut down. And then we get updates that our flights were canceled. And this is going from Miami to Barcelona. We had about a 4 p.m. or a 4:30 flight to Barcelona. And so we're driving to the drop zone. It's about an hour and 20-minute drive. And right then, that was when the team went to work. You had Glenn on the phone and Mike on the phone. We had the guys and Andy on the phone and calling contacts and working this, what's going on. I was calling my good friend Bob Hallett, who's a pilot down at Skydive DeLand, who's an owner operator down there for the past 40 plus years. And I go, hey, what's going on? And he said, NOTAMs is down. It'll probably be up around 10:30 back. It'll probably be back up. They're expecting to be back up by 10:30 a.m. I called my good friend of mine. She works at Delta Airlines. She said the same thing. And what Bob had said, he goes, look, it'll be back up, but they're probably going to push your flight, and that airport's going to be chaos.
Yeah.
So guys reached out to their network, got some very generous sponsorship, and we ended up chartering. This is the only time we didn't fly commercial. We ended up chartering a G5 from Miami Executive Airport to Barcelona.
Wow.
And we did get our flights rebooked, but they were an hour and a half later. And then if we had gotten on those flights, it would have put us in Barcelona. We would have had a too short of window to skydive and then make our connection to Cairo. Would have kind of domino affected the rest of the trip. So we went ahead and stayed with the G5. Flew that from Miami Executive into Barcelona. So
wow, what a good workaround, and what a community.
Oh yeah, it was great.
Yeah,
it was great.
You talked about working in context, but I'm just thinking community. What can I do to assist? That's all you're thinking, right?
Yeah. That was it. So so it was really good. We were if that hadn't happened, it would have probably would have gotten pushed down to 8 or 9 days or whatever it was. That was still a success, but the thing is everybody was in go mode and we can solve this. And so the guys did, so it's great.
Brilliant to see. I'll push on to the Perth one, because I think I don't want to do the spoiler alert for everybody with you got the documentary coming out and you've done a bunch of things there, and we know you hit the world record, but let's push on to Perth and then we'll go into the charity, how the fundraising is going, and maybe talk about afterwards what you didn't sort of expect. We watched you guys take off, and fairly sure someone aimed straight at the trees there. You said it was going to be a high wind.
Yeah. It was, so the landing area they had designated for us was on the other side of the runway, away from the crowd. We wanted it kind of over by the crowd, right? But it was away from the crowd. When you have high winds and you have high trees and you have desert conditions like Perth is, it's kind of a recipe for a lot of turbulence. And so unfortunately, a couple guys overshot a little bit and then couldn't get into a clear area. And then one of the guys, inevitably went into the trees. And you can ask him more about it because you're going to be interviewing him next week.
Well played. Nice straight face. Awesome.
Yeah.
And there must be I think you had kangaroos in the drop zone as well.
Yeah, there was. And it was so funny because the guys were so excited about it. And Australians, I'm sure, are whatever, more of a nuisance than anything else, it seems like. But yeah, they were excited about it. It's pretty funny.
What an amazing experience. And just when you're chatting to the guys who are on the expedition, you must just be remembering those little things that came up that you were probably too on the go to remember, or you just thought they weren't unimportant. But I'm just thinking, when you guys put the documentary out and the books, it'd be great to go over them. Let's go to the charity, Folds of Honor. What an amazing contribution they've got to the fallen parents. How's the fundraising going?
I haven't looked at it in a bit, but I believe that they're just about up to, and this is a guesstimate, is that they're up to just about $750,000. Wow. So when we got back, we were kind of tracking right around 550 to 600,000. And it was funny because right when we were on Fox, after Fox and Friends aired, they went to our website to donate and it crashed because it was a response that it was a cyber attack, and they're like, so it crashed, of course, but then it did eventually get back up within a day or so. But so I think that's where it's at. We're still aiming, the idea was, or the concept was, 7 skydives, 7 continents, 7 days to raise 7 million, and so that's what we were going for. And we still are, we're still optimistic because with our company Legacy Expeditions, we're still going to be doing other events. It's obviously, I don't think it's going to be as grandiose as what we did unless we can get to another planet to skydive. But we're still going to be focusing on working and supporting Folds of Honor. And Folds of Honor is really happy. They were like $7 million. Like, yeah, go for it, But they've been really happy with the publicity and the support, that the outpouring of support from everybody, not just in the United States, but everywhere else. And we had people in Antarctica that went and donated as soon as they got back, to South America. It was really a remarkable experience.
That's phenomenal. And I'm sure it's going to carry on, because that was you guys. You're in the weeds. You're doing the work, and you don't get the chance for that media exposure. And you mentioned Fox and Friends, and that was, especially watching you guys do it and speaking to Kirk. You've done the expedition. You've done literally on the planes, jumping back in the plane. You've short turnarounds, airport food, like you said.
Yeah.
What the hell happened afterwards with the media tour? I mean, that must have been almost just as hard.
Yeah, well, we were trying. You get back, and it's like your circadian rhythm is just completely non-existent at that point. Your body doesn't even know how to spell it. So we come back. Since I live in Florida, we had finished. When we finished in Perth, everybody was flying back to Tampa because we were doing a celebration jump for media and for family, and there was maybe 200 people that came out for that. We had local news stations, and then we had Family of the Fallen that were coming out. A lot of support. So we did there to basically do a celebratory jump. And so we were all in Tampa. Now I live pretty close to Tampa, just a couple hours out of Tampa. So I was able to go home for the night, but the next morning we were all flying to New York City, And so we spent 3 nights in New York to do, a quick little media thing. And so we did the Fox and Friends. Mike, Andy, and myself, we did a Fox Nation radio interview with Brian Kilmeade, which is great. That guy was so nice and super professional. It was really neat to meet him. And then the next day, the three of us also did a small little Good Morning America kind of stint. And then we all came home, and we started into doing some Newsmax. I did a couple of Newsmax interviews. But the recovery, that was pretty tough. I thought, a few days, it'll be all right. But it turned into, I'd say, a good few weeks. And even now, we're like toward the end of March now. And it's like, okay, finally starting to get back into sleep and workout and nutrition rhythm. But it was pretty tough, yeah. So
I can imagine.
We knew we'd be smashed, but we didn't know it was going to be that hard.
And you guys aren't 30-something hard charging warriors with people shooting at you.
Yeah. And actually, Jim today texted me. He just had hernia surgery today, so he's recovering. Yeah.
So, which means that he did all that with the hernia.
Yep. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, guy's hard, man. The guy is tough.
I can imagine that toughness combined with that business sense, and you guys just want to pick those brains.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
When you say it took you to that time to recover, it is March. I think I was speaking with Dallas Alexander last week, the other JTF2 celebrity now, I guess you call it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Dallas. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, nice guy. I was telling him about the caffeine trial they did on us, and so Australia, Canada, UK, US, and New Zealand scientists all came together and thought it'd be a great idea to keep a bunch of us awake for 5 nights and days straight, and then do a caffeine gum trial. Now, caffeine gum's given to the military, but they kept us awake for 5 days and nights. And I was on the caffeine gum, thank God, not the placebo. And the results were stunning. But it took us, we were hardened operators. It took us probably about 8 weeks to get over the little niggles, the little soft tissue injuries that 5 nights of no sleep will cause. And that's Kirk Parsley's wheelhouses. Sleep is the most anabolic thing you can do. Sleep is what you do to recover from the day before. And you guys had no recovery for like 2-3 weeks.
Yeah. So Whoop, Whoop was a sponsor. You're familiar with Whoop?
Whoop, yes.
Yeah. So Kristen Holmes, Finn, and another one of their teammates, I believe her name was Julie. But Kristen and Finn were really vital in helping us and with the sponsorship. And so they monitored us. And so like the final package, and I can actually send it to you if you're interested.
Yeah,
but it's about 11 slide graph that shows, you know, our strain, our recovery, our sleep. I mean, it was just horrible, you know. So you can see this just plummets, you know, through the floor, and then it starts to recover. It starts to come up a little bit, like when we got to UAE, because we actually got about 6 hours of sleep in UAE. But how dramatic that was to go from like a close to zero recovery, then at least up to like a 58% recovery. It was astronomical. But yeah, it was incredibly difficult. Yeah, with that. But I mean, we knew, just like, you know, just like in a lot of our experiences, that you push forward. And this is what we're doing. This is the,
You
you know,
do, but
get it
how
done.
cool is it to actually have some metrics now of what that
Oh
impacts?
yeah,
Because before it'd be mental toughness or
yeah,
just
yeah,
harden up
totally.
or whatever words, and you say just
Yeah,
push through to quote
yeah,
yourself. But
yeah.
see those metrics and not only see the detriment and then the up. Going back to the caffeine trial, they found that we were 98% effective in the kill house. And I did tell Kirk this story because we talk about that stuff all the time when we met up afterwards. He said he can't believe that we were in the kill house with no sleep, but we were
Yeah,
98%
yeah.
effective for 36 hours on caffeine.
Mm, wow.
After that, though, you're gone.
Yeah, the recovery. I mean, it's got to be weeks of recovery. Like, I
Yeah.
would think, you know. I mean, it's like, you know, we saw in a lot of just in training. I mean, obviously, your age, testosterone levels, and things like that play a huge, I think, play a huge factor in quality of performance, and obviously the quality of sleep as well. But yeah.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
So you mentioned Fox and Friends.
Mhm.
We actually watched that show, and that interviewer, and I can't remember his name. I'm sure you know. He did an amazing job
The
remembering all
host.
you guys' names.
Oh yeah, Brian Kilmeade. Yeah, yeah,
Brian Kilmeade
great
was.
guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
was that a live show you guys did?
It was. Yeah. Yeah. He was really good. I mean, like, we sat down and it was probably just a good couple minutes before he goes, Andy, okay, he's like, got it. Nick, okay, got it. Mike, okay, got it. Yeah, you see it. But he was, I mean, obviously, this is world-class professionalism. This is what he does for a living. This is what they do for a living. But they were great. He was on point. And really surprised us when they brought Lieutenant Colonel Dan Rooney, who's the like founder of Folds of Honor, on. Because we didn't know that was happening, so it was kind of a cool surprise. But yeah, they did really good, and the interview was like flawless. I mean, it was clean. It was great. Yeah,
Yeah, and you could see.
yeah,
I love that selection. You make that person tired, cold, and hungry, and you see the real you. You can see that with you guys as well. I don't know if you
yeah.
watched it back, but literally you could see the surprise in your face when the guest came on the video, and yeah, they must have had that one in their back pocket nicely.
Yeah, they did. It was good. Yeah. What was funny, because like we're in the green room and this is at like 8:30 in the morning, and there's a bottle of scotch on the table. We're like, no, yeah, like, it'll loosen you up. I'm like, I'm good, man. No, sure, I'm good. Not going on TV and no, I'm good. Maybe some of you guys can. I'm all right. So
Uh, look, you guys did a phenomenal job from right from the start. Um, like I said, getting that media out and connecting with people, and making them feel a part of it, right through to the media interviews you did afterwards, and still going. And I'm incredibly excited to watch documentary and maybe to read some more articles, to read some firsthand accounts of the different expeditions from different people. Yeah, you've done so well. And now I think, just to sum it up, you personally have 2 world records because of this.
I don't know how it was filed. The certificates, I'm only on one certificate, and that's totally okay with me.
Yeah.
Because the world records are, the way, and Andy says it best, and to kind of echo what he said, is that the records are neat, but we were doing this to honor our fallen and for Folds of Honor. So it is, it's cool, and I hope somebody breaks it. I mean, it'd be really hard, but go for it. But I don't want to do that again. But I will help you guys out if anybody wants to go for breaking that world record again. I'll absolutely help. But it was, yeah, there's a bit of nostalgia with it, because we all jumped in honor of somebody. So when we went through the World Record Academy, we really wanted the certificates to read a certain way to honor our specific fallen, and so that was a really great piece. And I'm sure, I don't know if you've seen it on my Instagram, but I did post up our for Jim and I, our tandem world record, because I jumped in honor of Navy SEAL Mark Lee that died on August 2nd, 2006. And so that was listed on there, which was great because he gave us a couple copies, and I'm going to send one to his mom. And so it's just another way of just continuing to tell their story and honor their legacy. So
you can't fake that authenticity, Nick, and I appreciate and thank you for such an amazing answer. It's exactly what we do. We don't do it for ourselves. Like you said, you don't do it for the woodwork. It's nice to have, but you're doing it for a bigger reason. And that's why I wanted to get you on the show, because the bigger reason is still ongoing. People are still going to be contributing. I hope that the website now allows contributions for all around the world. If not, then we can talk afterwards. But
absolutely.
I mean, I did a thing with Black Rifle Coffee the other day. Their shirts they're selling, you can contribute just through buying some of the special shirt for the expedition as well.
Yep. Yeah. No, it was a fantastic experience, and I'm really glad that the crew of guys that we had, bonded really good, and we still stay in touch. And guys are, kind of going, getting back to normal, doing their own separate things, and we're trying to, get some other stuff together to get the band back together sometime this year to be able to do some stuff. And just super grateful that I was somehow, timing in place. But the biggest thing that I've learned with this is that it's continuing that service. And I think that's like when you get to a certain age where I'm a burnout now and I'm not strapping on the body armor and going overseas anymore, if I can still contribute to those either affected or those that are still going overseas in some way. And that's why the profession that I'm in right now, I'm still contributing somehow to that. I don't need to be the crucial hinge point or the vital, heartbeat of it, but if I can contribute somehow with any of the expertise and services that I do, that it helps out. And that's it. So
beautiful. To finish off, I'd like to just touch on what you said there about, bringing the band back together. And then just before that, it does seem like most of the team are in really great places after transition from the military. You opened the show with the words purpose and identity, and there was another one that I'll go back and write down, because you got to write like a
I'm sure.
But you guys seem in a great place mentally, and you've come through your journeys into that new identity. But all that said, what I do find with leaders in the field and things, we sort of get left behind. How empowering, how good was it, or how much value did it add to your life, bringing a team of guys that you maybe didn't really know so much together and being part of that band, as you call it, being part of that team, and then knowing you got the connection going forward? How did that contribute, and how did that add value to your life and mental health?
It was getting back to our primal instincts. It was tribal. I mean, that's what it was. It was like we formed a tribe, either on purpose, by accident, whatever it was, but we all had our contributions to the tribe and to the criteria of success of getting it done. When I first retired, it was, who am I? Why am I here? What happened to my purpose? And you have to go and find it. And that's hard. That's hard for us when you've got 20 years of, I have a purpose. Yeah, I get pissed off at the leadership and stuff like that, but you still have your teammates, at the end of the day, left and right, and then even if you got guys that you don't like, you go overseas, it's still, you're going to put the safety and well-being of them above yourself. So the experience it was very tribal. We didn't have to love each other. We didn't have to be, best friends, but we all had a, common goal. And that right there, when it comes to, our primal, masculine instincts was, hey, let's go hunt. Let's go get this done. We have a mission and we have a purpose. And that's the best thing that, in my opinion, that you can do. You can give a man is a mission and a purpose and, value, go get it. So it was honestly, for me personally, after the expedition, it was pretty tough. It's like I felt like I got out of the military again. We're like, wait a minute, I had this going for like a year and a half, and now all of a sudden it just turned off. So now we've got I have to heed my own advice and go get the tribe together and continue to do stuff and do hard things, because the greatest things in life are just on the other side of difficulty. It's like it's through the struggle that we go through. It's in hindsight, in reflection, we're like, yeah, that made me who I am. That contributed to who I am today, right now, because of what I went through. So
I appreciate you answering that. And I think it's important because people may see these shows of different podcasts and different shows and think, oh, I can never be that person, or that person's got it all together. But I just want to bring the human aspect there. And you can see again the authenticity of how that added value to your life, being part of that team, and just thinking now you're going to guys are going to be connected forever,
mhm.
even if it's
Yeah,
just by email and connection. And so, I mean, we're connected. It was just amazing of the indication of the modern world. Rather than in the military, you get out, you retire, and everybody else carries on, and you can get lost in the
yeah,
world there. So I think it's really important to show the listeners and the viewers that as well.
yeah. Agreed. Yeah,
Look,
yeah.
Nick, thank you so much for coming on, my friend. It's great to see you again, and thank you for sharing your journey. Congratulations for pulling it off. Congratulations for what you've done so far, and I'm really excited to see what carries on in 2023 and where you guys go.
Damien, thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate what you're doing and bringing us all together and bringing a really good, eclectic group of people on a lot of your podcasts and all of the media, the stuff that you're doing. So I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're more than welcome. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I'll hit
Thanks.
pause. We'll have a
All right.
chat.
Cool.
Hi, thanks for watching. I'm Damien Porter, former Special Forces operator, and check out my new project for 2023 at hownottodie.com.au, where I've combined all my Special Forces training and police officer experience to help others. Thanks for watching.